Welcome to 5% Radio, where it's all about learning like no one else today so you can live like no one else tomorrow. Please be sure to share and subscribe. Hello and welcome to another episode of the 5% Radio podcast. In today's episode, episode number 27, I want to be discussing results versus activity and specific intent. So let's get it started off with a couple of quotes. The first quote, and I'm not going to be attributing these quotes to specific people because they've been said by, I can't even tell you how many people I've heard quote them, and I did not want to run the risk of trying to chase down the original author of the quote and then missing the mark. So number one is, you cannot expect what you do not inspect. And then secondly, what gets measured gets managed. Now, these are two quotes, simple enough, just if you take them at face value, okay, yes, that makes sense, but what do they really mean? See, when someone is attributed with a quote, when they've said something that people say, man, that's worth writing down and quoting and saying over and over and over again, you need to look at why is that statement valuable, and really, with a lot of quotes out there, is it valuable? Does it actually have merit? Is it true? Does it sound good? Does it have a truthiness factor, meaning, oh, that sounds like it's true, or is it actually the case? So with this, you cannot expect what you do not inspect. This means that I cannot expect an outcome if I don't inspect, meaning if I don't actually keep track of things. I can't say, man, I'm going to have XYZ happen, and then I'm not even tracking anything in the process of me supposedly trying to attain that specific outcome. So I'm not going to expect something to happen without inspecting everything I'm doing along the way. And then secondly, what gets measured gets managed. I want to talk about the idea of a scoreboard, which is a concept that comes out of a book by Orrin Woodward called 13 Resolutions for Life. But when he talks about keeping score, he put a whole chapter to this in his book. He's really referencing the fact that I have to inspect something. I have to have a measuring stick against what I do in order to actually know that I have made marked progress, meaning that I've actually moved forward, that it doesn't just appear that I moved forward, but that I've actually had a bar, I've set that bar, and I've jumped over that bar. I have made some sort of progress. So how do you actually use specific intent, inspection, measurement? How do you actually do this in areas of your life that you're looking to grow? Well, before you can begin measuring, inspecting, or keeping a score on anything, you've got to make sure that you are actually in results mode or in results-based thinking versus just activity-based thinking. Now, what's the difference here, Jesse? Those sound like kind of the same thing. If I'm doing activity, I'll probably get the result, and if I'm doing the result, I must have some activity in order to achieve that or attain that result that you're speaking of. Well, the difference is this. I can do something just for the sake of doing it, or I can do something with the specific intent of hitting a certain result. And here's the difference. Think of how many people go to the gym just to say that they went to the gym. Oh yeah, I go to the gym. Okay, what's your goal? And then if they're like, oh, nothing, I just work out. Okay, so you go to the gym for some reason because there's a book by Simon Sinek, and he talks about start with why. He talks about there's always three things involved in anything, any area you look at. There's a what, a how, and a why. So there's what we do, and he uses the example of like Apple. So what we do, we produce technology. How we do it, it's their actual process of the parts they use, the components they use, their systems and everything else. And then why? Because they want to change the world, and they believe that elegant, simple technology changes the world. So that's their why. So I've got to have a why behind everything I do. I've got to have specific intent. Otherwise, I'm just doing it to do it. So the specific intent of, okay, I go to the gym in order to blank, or I go to the gym because, if you don't have specific intent in that example, then you're not going to really move forward, because how can you know you're moving forward? If you don't have a destination, then how do you know if you ever got there? If you don't have a goal, how do you know if you've achieved it? I heard a guy put it this way. He said, if you don't set a goal, if you don't ever set a goal, he said, you're going to hit it with amazing accuracy. Meaning, if I set a goal to go nowhere, I'm not gonna be specific, then I didn't really set a goal for anything to happen. Guess what? Nothing's going to happen. Like you're not going to become successful by accident. I've got to have a results-based mindset, meaning that I am not just being fulfilled. I'm not happy or satisfied with the fact that I did the work. See, it's one thing for a millionaire to say, okay, I put in, let's say a millionaire in the S quadrant who runs his own successful self-employed business, not a B-type business. It's not the one that he can step away from for 6 months and the business continues to run totally fine or grows. By the way, that is the benchmark that Robert Kiyosaki talks about with a B-type business. Can you step away from it for 6 months, and will it sustain itself and or grow? If it will not sustain itself and or grow, and you stepped away for 6 months, If it falls apart, then you have a S-type business versus a B-type business. That's kind of one of the benchmarks that he set. So if I have a successful S-type business and I say, hey, I worked 12 hours yesterday. Okay, what did you get done? The person in activity mode says, oh man, I worked 12 hours, and they're just happy that they did the thing. The person in results-based mode says, I have this specific goal that I'm moving towards, and I did these specific things to get me closer to that goal, and that is why I worked 10 hours. I spent 2 hours on this, 3 hours on this, 30 minutes on this, 45 minutes on this, 15 minutes here. So they have a specific, okay, I did this activity for this outcome. I did X to get Y. They have a results-based mindset versus the person that says, oh yeah, I put in 12 hours yesterday, and they went to work and they brag about how many hours they've worked in their business or in their job or anything else. Oh man, I did 130 sales calls this month. And you're like, okay, what was your goal? And they're like, I want to make more money. Now that's an admirable goal. Easy for me to say. That's a great goal. But if you didn't move forward, if you didn't actually make progress, then what was the point of doing the activity? So everything you do, ask yourself this question. Everything you do in your business, in your job, in your training, I don't care what it is, if you want to move forward in that area, 95% of people, they don't set goals. They don't really, I'm just doing the thing to do the thing. I go to the gym, I go to my job, I do my business, I do this, I do that. I got off work and I spent time with my family. Okay, but what was the goal? Like when I have time with my family, I am really, 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 really uptight about one thing, and that is I want to make sure that if I'm taking my time, I'm investing it, not wasting it. I'm not spending it. If I spend something, there's no expectation of a return on investment. If I waste something, I know for sure, I'm 100% certain I will never have a return on that thing that I just wasted. But if I invest it, guys, don't miss this. If I invest my time into something, I am expecting a return on that investment. When I spend time with my family, and when I first had my little guy, when my wife and I first had our son Elijah, I would spend time. I would be in the room. The general vicinity, and I'd be like, oh, we spent time together as a family. And like, my wife would bring up with me, or I would bring up because I realized it kind of dawned on me. I'm like, I didn't really actually invest that. I didn't actually have one-on-one time with him where we played together or where we did this, or him and I took a walk where he knew it was like dad's giving me his focused attention and our relationship is deepening because he's giving me a piece of his life. That is what happens whenever you spend, waste, or invest your time. You are literally giving away a piece of your life. Life is made up of moments. Moments are made up of seconds and minutes and hours. Those moments are literally making up, building your life. So if I am not intentional with my time, I'm literally wasting my life. I'm throwing my life away. Waste is trash. I'm literally treating my life as garbage, as trash. So you have to make sure you're investing your time, meaning I know what I want. I'm doing something with this specific intent. If I have a night with my wife and we're a date night, there's a goal. There's a goal for us to kind of recoup, rest, recharge, and just connect. I want to make sure that we have good quality conversation. There's activity mode. Oh yeah, my wife and I went to dinner. Or there's results mode. We went to dinner. We discussed these things. We came out with a game plan for this. We solved this problem. I made sure that this was going well. There's a specific outcome that I'm looking for in that time. Even when I go on a vacation, I'm not going on a vacation to vacation. It's been said that successful people go on vacation in between work, and unsuccessful people work in between vacations, meaning, oh man, I can't wait for my next vacation because they just hate what they do. Successful people know that they are supposed to actually use their recreation, their playtime, so to speak, to recharge so they can work harder at what they are called to do, at their purpose, at what they have committed to, saying, this matters most in my life, and I want to make sure that I take this time, just like sleep every night. I rest. Okay, why are you sleeping? Well, it's an activity. I know that I have to sleep versus I am resting. I'm getting this many hours of sleep. I'm doing these things to make sure that I have optimal sleep. I'm making sure that I do everything I can so I can wake up well-rested, recharged, ready to go tomorrow so I can hit it hard again. There's a difference. To illustrate this, I'll give you an example. So I have trained, as far as lifting weights, I have worked out for years and years and years and years and years. Since I was 12, 13, 14, somewhere around there, probably about 12 years old, I've been training. At the least 12, at the latest, I think I started at 13, but that's neither here nor there. So I started, preteenish, right about teenage years. And I started training, and my goal was literally just to like basically not be a tub of goo anymore. Like I was the, body like half empty tube of toothpaste, just like no shape, just kind of there, like I had stuff that I enjoyed doing, but you couldn't tell that I didn't sit down and play video games all day, even though I spent a ton of time outside as a kid, rode my bike a lot, all that kind of stuff, spent a lot of time in the woods, enjoyed doing martial arts, all kinds of other stuff. But my physique reflected that of a professional couch potato. I was a couch jockey. Not really, but that's what it looked like. I got into working out with a specific goal to lose weight. Then I transitioned to I'd like to be a bodybuilder. From there, I got into powerlifting, and I had set certain goals. I'd like to squat this, overhead press this, bench this, bend over row this, deadlift this, front squat. Like I had specific goals. And then from there, I got into CrossFit, and my goal was to get to a competitive shape where I could compete in the CrossFit Games. Then I switched to another goal, and these are years and years and years and years and years. Then I switched to strongman. Then I switched back to powerlifting, and then and only then I got serious about, okay, I have these goals. They're just kind of out there. This is, blah, blah, they're out there. I'd like to achieve this, but I switched from that to like specific intent. Like every single workout is moving me towards this one goal. Like I could care less. I couldn't care less about anything else other than this one goal when I come into the gym. Everything I do is about either moving towards or taking me further away from that goal. And that goal was to hit a certain number on bench press. And every single day I would think about if it was an upper body day workout or if it was a recovery day, meaning I was resting, everything I did was based on, okay, like if someone's like, hey, you want to come play wiffle ball? I'm thinking through, okay, if I play wiffle ball, I might have to throw the ball really hard. The ball doesn't have a whole lot of weight, and I might injure my shoulder. That might affect my bench workout Saturday, which is my 3x5 day at such and such percentage. And if I don't have a good day then, that's going to put me behind for Monday, which will put me behind for Thursday's workout, which means next Saturday. No, I can't do that, man. I'm sorry. Like, I would be that anal about this. We'd be playing, me and some friends would be hanging out. It's outside, summertime, bonfire, whatever. Someone brought a football. We're throwing a football back and forth. And I'm like, you know what? Like, this is fun. And my shoulder is, there's a 99% chance, high probability, my shoulder is going to be totally fine. Okay? But the difference between activity and results mode means that everything I do has to be based on, will this help me get the result or will it take me further away from? And we'd be throwing a football. I'd be totally fine, but my shoulder would kind of start to like tweak and feel weird because I ripped some stuff in both my shoulders when I was younger from stupid injuries. And hindsight's 2020. You're like, oh yeah, that actually was dumb, just like people said I was wrong. So anyway, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to just kind of casually bow out of throwing the football because I know I have a bench workout 3 days from now. If I tweak my shoulder today at all, it could affect that bench workout because I won't be able to go as heavy. I won't be able to keep my form as solid, like everything, down to the amount of water that I drink, down to the specific supplements that I took, the dosages of those supplements. Supplements, not roids, supplements, healthy stuff for your body, everything. The amount of protein shakes that I had per day, how much sleep I got, taking naps. I detested naps at this time, but I would sleep 9 hours a night and I would make sure that I got a nap in every single day. Every single day that it was possible, I would get a nap in. I drank a certain amount of water and I would literally be sitting down. And I'm telling the story to give you, like, just to kind of give you a visual of what this looks like, that every single thing that I was doing had specific intent because there was a scoreboard. I had a goal and I had progress that I could make along the way. And I was tracking that progress every single workout. My scoreboard was, I'm writing this down. Okay, how much volume did I do? What numbers did I move? What percentage did I train with this week? And will that be getting me closer to this goal or not? So the goal, by the way, was to bench 315. I naturally, if I'm not trying to bulk up and gain weight, I normally sit somewhere between 155 and like 160. Like that's just, if I just like eat until I'm not hungry and like didn't train or like that's just naturally where I sit, like 155-ish. So I'm wanting to bench 315 pounds at a body weight of about like, I think 163 or something like that was my goal. And I'm chasing this goal and I'd be sitting there with my wife and like it's past dinner time and I already ate dinner. This is like 9 o'clock, like where most people get snacky. And I have like a heaping plate of chicken, rice, and broccoli. And I'm not hungry. Like I am not just like, okay, I'm satisfied. Like I have no like mentioned food and I'm like, oh, like it doesn't sound good at all. But I have a goal. Activity would say, yeah, I'm working out. This is great. I ate healthy today, man. Things are going good. Results says nothing less than this will do. And you might think, well, this sounds a little obsessed or a little bit extreme. Yes, exactly. If you want to be above average in anything, you have to do things that are outside of the average, period. Like, that's common sense. I know that like that sounds, it's overly simplified. If you want to do something that gets a crazy result, you might have to do some crazy stuff on the way there. So it is no longer dinner time. It might be like bowl of ice cream or like potato chips or sausage chips and popcorn, whatever. Like, no. For me, it was time for literally a second dinner. In Lord of the Rings, where it talks about, he hasn't heard of 11 seats, second breakfast. This was second dinner. So I'm sitting down and my wife is sitting there thinking like, because she's in activity mode. I eat to live. Like most of the world does. It's a natural thing. You eat food so you stay alive. I'm in results mode. I'm eating this food right now so I can have a good workout tomorrow morning at this time. I'm using this amount of salt in my water with my dinner so I can make sure that I have enough sodium in my body so my muscles are properly hydrated, like just anal, super strict, like tracking everything. Tracking what I ate, tracking the reps, the sets, the weights, the exercises, everything. I would literally eat myself till I'm like, like not gluttony, like, I just can't stop. But I'm like, okay, I'm not really hungry, but if I eat this now, I might be able to put another 5 pounds on my bench this month. And I knew my numbers. I had a scoreboard of this is what it's going to take. And if I do less than this, then I'm in activity mode. I'm not in results mode. So everything you do, and I'm closing with that story, but everything you do has to be specific intent. I can remember I would literally write out my workouts. And I want you to take this level of discipline, this level of just, I'm tracking every single minute, just the minutia that most people would say, that doesn't matter. If you want a goal, if you're truly in results mode, then you're going to do whatever it takes. Not what's convenient. If you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. If you're committed, you'll do what it takes. If you're interested, you'll do the activity. If you're committed, you will work on getting the result. So I would write down and I would track out my workouts, and I knew to the pound how much weight I was going to move. So I would do my warm up, and then I knew exactly I'm going to use these dumbbells for these reps. I'm going to use this weight on barbell. I'm going to use this for my cable stuff. I'm going to use this for my bent over rows. I'll do pull-ups with these weights. Like, I did everything, and I would get down to a workout and I would say, okay, I ate this, I drank this, I'm sleeping like this, I'm working out this many days a week, I have this level of activity outside of the gym, I'm taking these supplements, like I'm recovering currently, and last week I did, 17,638 pounds of volume in my upper body workout. Okay, this week I'm going to see, can I push it to 17,984 pounds? Can I push it to that? Do everything else the same supplements, same water intake, same food, same sleep, everything, same stimulus. Can I have a different response? Can I have the same stimulus with a different response getting stronger, or do I need to have a higher stimulus to get that response? So I would track all this over, and I would spend hours a week writing out my workouts, and I would not deviate from those workouts. That's the difference between, okay, Jesse, that means nothing. It's just the gym. Exactly. But it was an area that I wanted to track. It was an area that I wanted to inspect because I expected a result. What gets measured gets managed. So I was measuring everything I did. Now, let me ask you this. If I can do that with the gym, that I don't get paid to lift, no one's ever going to be like, you know what, we're going to sponsor you for our new, bench barbell. Like we came out with this special bar. It's specifically for, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I'm just not going to get paid for it. It is a hobby, but I had specific intent. So let me ask you this. What are you currently doing moving you towards your goals? Like, you want to move towards a specific goal, not a wish, not a want, not a fantasy. Like, oh man, this would be nice to have. Like, you have a goal. Like, I want this, and I'm willing to sacrifice to get there. Sacrifice is the production of sacred things. When I sacrifice, I produce things in my life. So what am I willing to sacrifice to get that goal? Okay, again, if I'm interested, I'll do what's convenient. If I'm committed, I'll do what's necessary. I'll do whatever it takes. So here's the goal I want, and I'm going to ask myself with everything I do, what is the specific intent of this activity? The specific intent of this activity, the specific intent of this sales call, the specific intent of this workout, the specific intent of me making this extra money, working these extra hours, the specific intent of me starting this business, the specific intent of this marketing campaign for our company, this specific intent of us having this budget, the specific intent of bringing on this team member, the specific intent of this weekend away with just my spouse and I, the specific intent of taking this time with my son and or daughter is, and if you can't fill in that blank, then take a step back and say, okay, if I'm looking to become excellent in this area, if I'm looking to truly become excellent, I want to be above average, I have a goal, I'm doing things to set that goal, I have the goal is here, so I have the goal is fill in the blank. I'm going to work backwards and figure out, okay, what are the benchmark things? What's the scoreboard? Once I attain this, I'm closer than this. Like, how do I know if I'm winning or losing? How do I track things? That's different for every situation, but if you don't have a scoreboard, you have no clue. If you're watching a football game and you're like, who's winning? And you're like, I have no clue. There's no one keeping score. And then the channel just automatically changes to another show like every 2 or 3 minutes and then goes back. And you're like, what happened? Did someone score a touchdown while I was gone? And no one can tell you. You wouldn't watch the game because you would get so frustrated. But yet in sports, if they didn't keep score, you wouldn't watch. But our own lives, we won't keep score in our own lives. So specific intent, ask yourself, is this an activity with activity thinking, meaning I'm just doing it to do it, or is this a results-based activity, meaning I have a specific outcome, a specific intent? I'm being intentional about what I'm doing for this reason. And if you're doing that, if you're being specific, if you have intent in everything you do, you will be in the rare slice of people, the top 5%, the top maybe 4, 3, 2, 1% of people that actually are doing results-based activity. You actually have a goal, you're scoring it, you're measuring it, you're keeping track of things, and you are doing what I talked about with the whole bench press thing. I want to bench 315, and I'm doing absurd things that people would say, you don't have to do that, that's too obsessed, but you're like, you know what, if I eat, sleep, and breathe this thing, not in a way that throws my life out of balance and I throw the kids in the closet and I forget my time with my spouse, and not in that way, not that I put my personal finances, I mortgage everything we have and I leverage it to the hilt because if we don't make this, we're going to lose everything, but that's okay. He said to have specific intent. I've got a goal, I'm going to get my result. Not that far. But you may have to lose some balance in your life in some areas. You may have to do some things that are unpopular. You may have to do something that is way outside of quote unquote the norm to achieve it. But if you're going to be in the rare slice of people that gets results, then you're going to have results-based thinking. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? What is the outcome? Will this get me to where I needed to go? And if the answer is no, then change. Don't overthink it, change. If the answer is yes, then don't overthink it. Don't decide, you know what, we've been doing this and it's been working, but we should try this other thing I heard about. Keep doing what you're doing. If it's working, if you are moving towards the goal, if you are getting results, keep doing what you're doing. I don't care what someone else tells you, unless they are your coach and the only person you listen to about this. Keep doing what you're doing. If not, then go back to, okay, I need more specific intent. I need to change this. I need to plan, do, check, and adjust, to quote a previous episode. I need to do something else because what I'm doing currently might be activity, but it's not moving me towards the result that I want. I'll close with this. My mentor recently gave me a very, very, very specific, like it's tangible, wrote it down. It's like, I will know 100% when I hit this goal. I will know that I have the result. And therefore, no matter how much I do in the direction of achieving that, if we don't get the result on the journey, I can do one of two things. I can either learn from that, or I can stop doing that and start doing something else. Like, it's that simple. Either I learned what not to do, or I learned that what I did worked. That's everything you do can fall into one of those two categories. I learned that this worked. I will do it again. I learned this didn't work. Why didn't it work? Okay, I will do it this way next time. I'll never repeat that same mistake. Do not repeat the same mistake twice. There's a million mistakes. Go make a new one, but don't repeat the same one twice. So ask yourself, specific intent. Is there a measurable goal? How will I know when I hit it? And then what do I have to do in order to reverse engineer this and work backwards? Here's the goal. Okay, I have to do this, this, and this to get there. What do I have to do to go from A to C? What does B look like? And then once I get to C, what do I have to do to go from C to E? Like, you've got to be setting miniature goals along the way, but you've got to give yourself a clear scoreboard. Since my mentor set that goal for me, that is a goal that is important to me. It's moving me ultimately towards my larger goal, which is financial freedom by the age of 30. I am now age 29 as of June 20th of this year, 2023. My goal was financial freedom by the age of 30, right after my kid turns 2 in like 3 months. That's my goal. Little guy just called me daddy. yesterday, June 27th. He called me daddy. Super excited about that. Was waiting for that to come out. But I want to be free by the time that kid is not even 2.5. And if that's the case, and my mentor has given me a goal, when you hit this specific intent, everything I do now, every single day, if it's not moving me closer, if it's not actually going to get me the result, then it's just activity and I'm not satisfied with it at all because I know that I have a goal and I need to achieve a specific result. I don't just want to do the thing to say I did the thing or pat myself on the back or feel good like, yeah, I'm out there doing it, good for me. No. I want to do whatever it takes. I'm not interested. I'm committed. I want to do whatever it takes to get the result. And if I'm not getting the result, specific intent, why did I just do that activity? And if I need to change. If it worked, great. Keep going. Give yourself a scoreboard. You cannot expect what you do not inspect.